Hey everyone, Regan here from the Xero API team again with another episode in our Xero Automation Unleashed series. Today we're going to take a look at Claude Code. Claude Code is an amazing hands-off coding tool that runs in the terminal. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. We will go through what a terminal is and how to use it and how to get Claude Code up and running. It's very hands-off. It's not a full-blown IDE. It is a coding agent that works with you, and as long as you provide it good instructions, it has really great outputs. Under the hood, it uses Anthropic's Claude models, hence the name Claude Code, and those are some of the best coding models that are out there at the moment, so produce really good results. Today we're going to build a super simple CRM system that integrates with Xero, and we're going to show you just how easy it is to get started with Claude Code. But one of the most powerful ways of using Claude Code is with an existing code base, even if you haven't built that code base with Claude Code before. And there's some really great workflows that you can plug in from GitHub to Claude Code as well, which we might not go into that in depth today, but I just wanted to make sure that you're all aware of it. It's an amazing tool if you are a developer. So yeah, that's probably enough talk about what Claude Code is and what it does. The best way to show you exactly how it works and how you can bring it into your life is by showing you what to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, here we are in the terminal. Doesn't look very exciting at the moment. It's just a black screen, but trust me, what's going to happen is going to be amazing, and it's going to look amazing when it's done. So to start with, we need to install Claude Code. If you haven't done that already, I will just copy and paste in the command. So it's npm install -g at anthropic.ai/Claude Code. I've already installed it, so it's just going to come back and tell me, yep, I've found all those packages, so that's great. For you, it would probably step through and install those things. If you haven't got Node installed, you will need to install Node before you run this install command. So if you're on Mac, use brew. If you're on Linux, use apt. And if you're on Windows, just use Windows Subsystem for Linux, and then you can use apt as well. We are going to just make a new directory, and I'm going to say make a directory called Xero Demo CRM. Great, and I'm going to switch into that particular directory, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Claude.md file. So MD is a markdown file. Markdown is just it's basically a text file with some specific ways of formatting that text that appears in a really nice human readable format. So think of it as basically a text file, like if you used to TXT files. So I'm going to create that file. Great, and then I'm going to open that file in Vim. If you haven't used Vim before, Vim is an entirely encapsulated within the terminal integrated developer environment, or IDE, so we can do all of our coding within this if we want. So I am going to pop in here our Claude.md file. I have prepared earlier because I don't want you watching me think about this and type it. So I'm just going to paste that in. So today we're building a WrestleMania CRM. In case you didn't know, Hulk Hogan passed away on the weekend. This is July 28th, 2025. So sorry if you didn't know, that's pretty bad news, but if you did know, Hulk Hogan was a big deal in the wrestling world, so I thought we'd do a wrestling theme today. Yeah, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Great, so it's just going to be a simple CRM system with Xero accounting integration built in to demonstrate Claude Code's capabilities. Straightforward. And so what we're doing in this Claude markdown file is we are outlining the project for Claude. And this is the thing that I really love about Claude Code, right, is these Claude.md files. So not only is this very readable for Claude, this is also very readable for any human being that comes across your code base, right? It's an awesome way of just giving information to AI or humans about this is what this is, and these are the things you need to know if you want to work with this. And the great thing is that you don't just have one of these files for your entire repository. You can have one for every folder. And then you can describe in every folder what is happening there in a very straightforward, human readable way. And then anybody working with your code that comes across it in the future has these beautiful, like, legible text files that just say this is what this is and this is how you work with it, which I think is pretty cool. Like, man, how many code bases have you worked in that you're like, oh, I really wish somebody just explained how this worked? That would have saved me a lot of time. Yeah, so anyway, we have our Claude.md file. I am going to exit Vim. If you don't know how to exit Vim, that is a meme. You can do WQ ! And that will let you out. That's to write to the file and then quit. Great, we've got our Claude.md file. So now what we need to do is we need to run Claude Code. And it hasn't found my command for Claude Code. Maybe it's just Claude. There you go, I got it wrong. It's just Claude. Okay, do I trust the files in this folder? Claude Code may read files in this folder. Reading untrusted files may lead to Claude Code to behave in unexpected ways. Yeah, let's proceed. Cool, welcome to Claude Code. Fantastic. All right. So from here on, this works exactly the same as any other conversational AI agent that you've ever spoken to, right? So ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever. You can just type in things, press enter, it'll come back with answers, or it'll go away and do stuff, right? So I have written quite a lengthy prompt to try and get a Claude Code to create what we want to create today. I've made it very focused on making this YouTube video fun, so we will see what it does. I will share the prompt with you in a gist, so if you're looking for the prompt, have a look in the description below, and there will be a link for you to look at. So what this prompt has said is, hey Claude, what we want to do today is we want to build WrestleMania CRM. We want to demonstrate your abilities and Xero's abilities. It needs to manage contacts. It needs to create and track invoices through Xero. We want to use custom connections because it's the easiest way for us to do that. Work flawlessly for a YouTube demo, please. Please, like, none of these have been flawless so far. We've always had to fix things afterwards, but that's software, so no problem. And then, yep, we've got a YouTube video demonstrating this. That's what you're watching right now. Cool. We've got some core features, got some details around the invoice management. We've got the dashboard. Yeah, we've said that we should build it in Python. Again, you know, we've done 2 in JavaScript. We'll do 2 in Python. That's quite nice, right? And then, yeah, we've done some details about the authentication flow. We've given it some wrestlers to put in the CRM as like dummy data, so that's good. We've given it a structure for the files. We've even given it some instructions about the color theme and some clear success criteria. So this is a pretty beefy prompt. Not gonna lie, Claude helped me write this prompt. You should get AI to help you write your prompts. And yeah, this is an important one, right? We've said, hey, can you follow this workflow? We want you to explore first, so analyze the requirements and create a project structure. Then we want you to plan. So design the architecture and the integration approach, and then code. So this is important because it lets us have a look at what the AI is thinking before it actually starts the coding, right? We want to make sure that what it's going to write is going to be what we want it to produce. Otherwise, what can happen sometimes is the AI kind of goes off in one direction and our expectations were a different direction. We want those expectations and the direction that the AI is traveling to be as close together as possible early on, so that when we get further on down the track, it's not far apart and we have to do a lot of work to get back to where we need it to be. This is no different to working with humans, is what I would say. As long as you're aligned at the start and you keep checking in and making sure you're aligned as you go, you're going to get better outcomes, right? So it says I'm going to build a WrestleMania CRM. We're going to create a project structure and a Claude.md file. Well, you've already got a Claude.md file, so you don't need to do that. There we go. We helped it out. It's going to set up a fast API backend. So fast API is just it's a library for Python that creates very performant APIs, and it will let the front end talk to that. And it's going to implement a Xero integration with custom connections. Yes, please. It's going to test all the features and ensure a smooth demo flow. Nice. Okay. And it's going to create front-end templates and styling. And it'll add our wrestler data. Great. As a sample. Let me start by creating the project structure. So it wants to bash command. Do you want to proceed? Yeah, all right, go ahead. But actually, do you know what? Don't ask me again for these make dir commands, because I don't want you asking me every time you create a make directory command, right? But we could actually say, like, no, this isn't actually what I want you to do. You know, go back. Let's talk about what you're going to do before you go ahead and do it. And that's the cool thing about Claude Code, right? You can have these conversations. You can approve, disapprove, and you're in control of what it's doing. But once it gets started, it'll take a wee while and it'll go and do its thing, right? So yes, and don't ask again. There are settings you can use to make it so that Claude doesn't actually ask you ever, like for permissions like this. I would say, you know, if you're just starting out, maybe don't give it that. But if you know what you're doing and you trust Claude and you're comfortable with what it's doing, yeah, you can go and set those settings. But probably outside of what we're going to do today. So do we want to create a requirements.txt? Yes, we do. That describes exactly what libraries we're going to use for this particular repository. So yes, we need fast API because that's going to be our the backbone of our app where we run all our business logic. Unicorn is for running a web gateway service. Xero Python for talking to Xero. That's our standard library for interacting with the Xero API. SQL Alchemy is great. It helps you write SQL queries. And then we've got a python.m for loading our environment files. Yeah, and then the other ones are just standard things that we require for running a web application in Python. So that's all good. So yeah, I'm going to say yes, and don't ask again for this setting. I can't use the Shift tab shortcut there. So yeah, it's going to go away and it's going to write all of these things. As you can see, it's already creating the database models. That's pretty cool. We've got a count of how many tokens it's using. I am lucky enough to be on the Claude Max plan, which is I don't need to worry too much about tokens. It's pretty pricey. That Max plan is what I would say. You can hook Claude up to an API key, and then you can manage it a little bit that way in terms of costs. But yes, there is a cost associated with using this, right? Is the important thing to take away. But yeah, this is going to take a wee while, so I'm going to go away. We'll come back when it's done, and we will see if we can run this code, and hopefully it'll work the first time. Of course, now that I've said that, I have put the curse on it, and it won't. But that's okay. We've got to try these things. Okay, we're about 7 minutes later, and Claude has asked me for permission to do something else. So Claude has asked me permission to create the .claude/settings.json file. I am surprised that it stopped and asked me for permission here, if I'm 100% honest, because I had already said, like, yeah, go ahead and edit whatever files you want. This is kind of the equivalent to YOLO mode in Cursor that we didn't employ last episode. But yeah, we just want Claude to be able to go ahead and create whatever files it can create. But it does give us an opportunity to talk about what the Claude/settings.json file is for. So the .claude/settings.json file is really there to store configuration settings that Claude is going to use while it's developing things, right? So it allows us to pre-authorize a whole bunch of tools that Claude will use to do different things. And if we don't do this, then it's going to ask us every time we want to run one of these tools. And like probably the most important one here is the test file. So we're using PyTest for tests. If we had to step in and allow Claude to run tests every time, that would be very annoying, right? I would like Claude to just be able to run tests whenever it needs to run tests and figure out if the code is working or not. Because that's the power of this agent, right? Is that I don't have to step in and run all these things. It can run it for me. So yeah, it's going to do our settings JSON file that's going to change here. It's going to be able to run PyTest whenever it wants. Fantastic. It's going to be able to run our linter whenever it wants. Absolutely, go ahead. And then it's also going to be able to run the app itself whenever it wants. And it can go ahead. So I'm just going to shift tab to say yes, and don't ask again for this session. And there we go. So very quickly, we're back and it's asking us for another permission. What it wants to do here is it wants to create a slash command for us. So that's another really powerful feature of Claude Code is slash commands. And slash commands are a way for Claude to define little pieces of functionality that it's going to go away and run and do something. And we can just type in our Claude Code session like / whatever the name of the slash command is. In this case, it would be add-wrestler. And then it'll go away and it'll add a wrestler for us. So super powerful little piece of functionality. You can design your own slash commands, which are kind of like, think about them as like baked in prompts. So yeah, it's a super cool little tool, and it's one of the reasons that I love Claude Code so much. I'm just going to say yes, you can do that, and don't ask me again this session. Create whatever slash commands you want. All right, pretty quick. We're back, and it thinks that it's done everything that it needs to do. So it has built the WrestleMania CRM with the Xero integration. We've got full contact management, we've got the Xero integration, we've got the professional dashboard, we've got invoice management, and we've got, of course, our wrestling theme that we asked for. So to run the demo, I need to create a .m file with my Xero credentials, and yep, I can just do copy the environment example to a .m file, and then I'll need to run pip install. But actually in between this, I will create a virtual environment, which you should too. But anyway, let's do the .m file. I've fallen into one of the classic blunders. I should not have run this in Claude Code. I should have done it in a different terminal window. So let's just say no here. Okay, we will run a new terminal window. So now we've got our Claude window, and we've got our non-Claude terminal is probably the best way to describe it. And what I will do is I will come in here and I will try to remember what we named the folder. I think it was Xero Demo CRM. Yes, it was. Great. So if I just list the files here, we can see all the files that are there, and there is not an environment variable example here. Fallen into another classic blunder. If anything has a dot before it, it won't show up if you run the ls command. So I'm looking for it and I'm going, huh, where is it? It was there all along. I'll bet you if we go .env.example with vim, yes, it's there. Man, I'm rusty. I'm gonna leave it there as a a teaching moment. But there you go. Like, yeah, don't rely on ls for your .env files. I'm gonna escape out of here, and we don't want to edit the example, we want to edit the actual.env. Great. So here we can set our Xero client ID and our Xero client secret and our Xero tenant ID. Sorry, the reason I paused there was because I was like, that means it hasn't written a function to go and get the tenant ID, which is going to be a problem later. Not a problem. We can fix that up as we go through. Secret key, if you remember from our cursor one, we just need we can put anything there as our secret key, and that will work. But for your production one, you should create a proper lengthy and random secret key. So for our Xero client ID and our Xero client secret, you've done this before with me, but we will do it again. We need to create a custom connection. And the way we're going to do that is by going to developer.xero.com. I will hop out of here and I will show you my web screen. Just in case you haven't watched the previous episodes, I'll show you the process of doing this again. So we'll come to developer.xero.com. We will log in. I will log in with my account. All right, and then we have a list of all of the apps that we've created, but if you haven't created an app before, there won't be anything here, but there will be a call to action to create a new app. In any case, there will be a button up here in the right hand corner that says new app that you can click. So I'm going to create, first of all, I'm going to call this WrestleMania. I'm going to choose a custom connection. The reason we're choosing a custom connection is because this is going to be our custom made CRM system. It's only ever going to connect to our Xero organization. We're not making this available to other people to use as like a software as a service product. So using the custom connection is a great way to simplify that authentication process. If we didn't use a custom connection, we would have to handle a whole bunch of logic for getting refresh tokens, refreshing access tokens, and exchanging a whole bunch of stuff. But because we're not making this available for other people, implementing all of that is it's not necessary. And it creates added complexity that we don't want. Anytime we can remove complexity from our workflows, it saves us time and therefore money. And because of that, custom connections is a premium product. There's a small cost associated with it, and it's only available in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, and the US at the moment. So if you're outside of one of those regions, you're going to have to use one of these other methods to get your token. But yeah, if you're in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, or the US, you can leverage custom connections and save yourself some time. Let's just put in wwe.com, and I've read the developer terms and conditions, and I'll create my app. Great. So the scopes we're going to need today is going to be accounting.transactions, and that's because we're reading and writing transactions. Invoices is what we're going to be doing, and then we will do accounting.contacts because we'll be reading and writing contacts. That's the main point of a CRM, right, is managing your customer data. And we will also need accounting.settings.read because we'll probably need to get some things like accounts for putting invoices in. That's my user. I don't want to do this for a different user. I will save and connect. What that is going to do is it's going to send me an email. So I'll come over to my email. And great, here we go. Custom connection. I will connect. That will take me to my Xero account where I will need to say, yes, I'm okay with WrestleMania having access to my demo company. And it's going to view and manage my business my business transactions and my contacts. And it's going to be able to review my organization settings. And I'm okay with that. So I'll say allow access. That will take me to a screen where it will say, here's all the custom connections you've got connected at the moment. and that's great. That says it's connected. I will come back to my page here in Xero Developer and I will refresh it. And when I refresh it, I will be able to see my client ID. Great. And then I can come back into my terminal. I'll make this big so you can see it. And I am going to switch to insert mode by pressing I. And I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to pop in my client ID. And then I'll come to Safari and I'll generate my client secret. I'll copy that. And then I'll come back to my terminal, delete the your client secret, and pop in my client secret there. Now, this is going to be a problem later on, as we explained before. I'll just delete it. My secret key can be anything. I'm just going to put a bunch of gobbledygook on my keyboard. But, you know, you do you. Do something better than that, is what I would say. Although, you know, that's fairly secret and would be difficult to guess. But not the purpose of this video. So great. And we've got a database URL because we're going to be running SQLite to get this working. I'm comfortable with that. I will hit escape and I will type :WQ for write and quit, an exclamation mark. And we are back out here. So just very quickly, we're going to create our virtual environment. So in order to do that, I will do Python 3 and I will do -m. You can call your environment whatever you want, but first you need to run the vmv command, and then I'll just call it venv to be easy, but you can call it whatever you want. I usually stick to the same names, V, E, and V. As long as you're in different folders, it doesn't matter. You can have different virtual environments if you really want. I normally have one. But anyway, we've created our virtual environment. Now we need to activate that virtual environment. So I'm going to say source vmv bin/activate. Great. And now you can tell that you're in your virtual environment by this little vmv in parentheses here. Pip install requirements.txt, and what this will do is it will install in our virtual environment all of the libraries that this repository that Claude Code has written for us requires in order to run. That was pretty quick. It's finished. And so what we'll do now is we will run this application, and I think it's just app.py, isn't it? Yes, it is. So we will go python app.py, and we've got an error. So there's an import that doesn't look to be working. We can pass this error back to Claude and just say, hey Claude, thanks for writing this, but there's a little error that we need you to fix up. Same way that we've done with all of the other tools that we've used, right? When we encounter errors, we can copy and paste this error. All right, so the error is because of some compatibility issue between SQL Alchemy and Python. It's changing the SQL Alchemy version. Yeah, okay. I thought it might change the Python version. Okay, do we want Claude to be able to run pip install commands? Yeah, I don't want to run them. Okay, so now it's asking me, oh, it's actually going to run it for me. Great. This is absolutely what we wanted it to begin with. It might have trouble because it hasn't activated the virtual environment. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say no and tell Claude what to do differently. I'm going to say before running the app, please activate the virtual environment. And then see it's added to our bash command to activate our virtual environment. Great. So do you want to proceed? Yes, and don't ask me again for source commands. Oh, actually, okay, I should have told it to activate the virtual environment before it pip installed SQL Alchemy. Anyway, no problem. It's gone and done that now. It's very clever. So yes, and now it's going to run the application itself. It's going and doing that. Great, and says that it's running. Okay, so let us attempt a little test. And we're running. Holy smokes, look at that color theme. Hawk of Mania is alive and well in this CRM. Okay, so this looks pretty good, right? Like, I'm happy with this. We can view all our contacts. We have Hulk Hogan, we've got Stone Cold Steve Austin, we have The Rock, awesome, Undertaker, Macho Man Randy Savage, oh yeah, and Andre the Giant. Great. Okay, so if we come back to our home page, how do I sync these with Xero? Maybe I come to invoices. Okay, let's create our invoice. Let's create that invoice. Oh, I have to select a wrestler. Of course I do. Okay, but it's not letting me select a wrestler. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So we'll have to come back to Claude and tell it, hey, like, when I'm creating an invoice, the choose a wrestler does not. The choose a wrestler drop-down doesn't let me select a wrestler. Okay, great. The app is running successfully. The Xero API errors are, yes, it's found some Xero API errors. Great. Are expected because you need to set the Xero tenant ID in your .env file. We could find out what our Xero tenant ID is and put it in the environment variable file. What I'd like for Claude to do is actually find that for me, right? So I'll just say, okay, so what I've said is, can you please add functionality to retrieve the tenant ID from the connections endpoint when the Xero integration initializes? That way, I don't need to find the tenant ID. And it should be able to go and make that change. So what's really cool, right, is it highlights all the changes that it's made to the files that we asked it to make. It's gone and also edited our environment variables file, and it said it's added a little annotation here saying it's optional for you to provide what your Xero tenant ID was because we'll auto discover it from Xero. And it's even updated the README file to say, hey, the tenant ID is optional, we'll auto discover this for you. So that isn't like extra service, right? Like if this was a waiter or a waitress serving you at a restaurant, you would tip them, right? It's described everything that it's done. It's going to try and restart the app. Before we want to restart the app, we want to address our problem with our wrestlers drop down. Actually, let's try restarting the app first, because that drop down might have been linked to the Xero integration, and it might have some relationship between the change that we've just made. So let's try that first. I'll just say, can you please restart the app for me? Let's see what it does. Yeah, you can run pcurl anytime you want. Go for it. Okay, cool. And it's back up and running on port 8000. Let us come back in. I'll refresh. Do I want to reload this page? Probably not. Let's go to the home page. Great. Let's just head back to our terminal, see if it's got any errors. It doesn't have any errors. In theory, that means that it's connected. I wonder if we view a contact. Is that gonna link it to Xero? Still hasn't done anything. Okay, so maybe if we do new invoice. Okay, our drop down's still not working. If we add a new wrestler, create the wrestler. Now, was that automatically created in Xero when we saved? Perhaps it was. Let's check Xero. There was no error. Contacts. All of our contacts. Nope. Okay. Well, I don't know where John Cena went, but he didn't go there. All right. So it doesn't look like anything's getting to Xero, which suggests that, oh, okay, the app is running, however you're getting invalid client errors from Xero. Okay, so it did try and add John Cena by the looks of it. Failed to get an access token because it's an invalid client. App is running, however you're getting invalid client errors from Xero. This typically means one of the following. The client credentials are incorrect. Double check your client ID and your client secret in the .m file. Yep, okay, those are there. The app type isn't custom connection. It definitely is. Client secret might have extra spaces or characters. I don't think so. So I'll just say I've double checked my client ID and my client secret. They're correct. What else could the problem be? Great. It's found the issue. The authentication method's different. So it's going to update the auth module. Yeah, okay. Needed some headers that it didn't have. It has restarted the app. So let's see if that made any difference. Okay, so we've got our wrestler. We'll click on create wrestler and see what happens. No, she's not there. Okay, so something has gone wrong again. The error persists. All right. So what I really like about this, right, is it's able to run the code itself. It's able to monitor for errors, and it's able to actually see when errors happen, which makes the process, the iteration process, much faster. It was a little bit slow in picking it up there, right? Like I had to go and check and go, oh, it's not here, what's going on? So that's okay. The most important thing is that it's now coming up with its own solutions, right? And I'm not having to say, here's an error. It's doing it itself. So it's going to do some debugging. It's checking for hidden characters. It's probably a sensible thing to do. You can do that. Okay, great. So it's confirmed that the .m file is clean. That's great. Okay, so we'll add our other wrestler. We've got Shawn Michaels this time. Let's see if that creates any errors. Well, let's maybe just go straight to Xero and see if that worked. We added debugging. Oh, we did make some changes, so maybe you made it through. Let's have a look. Shawn's not there. Okay, let us have a look. Okay, it's found that the environment variables are not being loaded correctly. So, yeah, it wasn't our fault. It was something that the app had done. That's interesting. All right, so we've created another wrestler, Charlotte Flair this time. Let's see if she made it through to our Xero account. No, okay, she didn't make it through either, so there's still something going on. Let's see what Claude Code thinks is going on. Great, okay, so we've made some progress because now it's getting an access token and it's finding our tenant ID, but we've got some, haven't quite initialized our client correctly. There's a couple of different functions that the client expects us to have implemented that we didn't, so we've now implemented at least one of those. All right, so we'll create Kevin Nash this time and see if that makes it to Xero. Cross your fingers. Let's see if Kevin's there. Kevin's not there. Okay, so there's still something going on. Let's pop back into Claude. Error creating contact none type object has no attribute get auth settings. Okay. So yeah, it's able to learn what it's done wrong based on the errors that it's seeing, and it's able to fix itself. So there you go. It's made some changes. Okay, it wasn't pulling in some some things. So I think what it's doing is it's bypassing the SDK now, and it's going to rewrite the entire Invoices module to use direct API calls. Not really sure about this as a strategy, but we'll let it do its thing. All right, we'll create Kurt Angle and see what that does. He has not. So I suspect we've still got our same problem. All right, it wants us to test again. All right, let's see if Edge has made it into our Xero. Okay, it worked that time. It bypassed the SDK, and then it worked. Okay, but that's a moment, right? So now we've got our CRM. We've got our contacts. I wonder if we can edit it and update it, and then it'll go to Xero. Let's see if Hulk made it now. Really wasn't expecting that to work. Okay, so Hulk did not make it. All right, it's got a command timed out. Xero is returning XML, not JSON. Okay, yes, that will be a problem. So yeah, the Xero API returns XML by default, unless you tell it to return JSON. But this is because it's not using the SDK, it's having this problem. If it was using the SDK would have handled all of this complexity and just gotten JSON back. Okay, so let's edit Hulk again and update and see what happens. All right, I don't think it's picked up on anything going wrong there, but it's saying that the app is running. Let me create a test to see if the Xero integration is working properly. So yes, please go ahead and do that. I'm pretty sure you're going to find that it's not working because it doesn't appear to be working. It says that it's fully functional with a Xero integration. So maybe I'm expecting it to update when it hasn't implemented that functionality. But okay, great. Let's test this ourselves. So if we edit Hulk Hogan, all right, so I'm just going to ask Claude if the app's running to see if it thinks that it's running. Yeah, all right, I could run PS myself. Yeah, no, it's not running. All right, well, that's an interesting one. But anyway, we'll go back into it. Okay, so we've logged in. It's pulling invoices from our Xero account now. That's pretty cool. That's not what we asked it to do, but I like that it's got that functionality. We're managing 13 legendary wrestlers. Great. Okay, so let's view our contacts. Let's edit Hulk Hogan. Maybe we need to change something. Is that what we need to do? Okay, let's change Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hulk Hogan and see what happens. Is he gonna be Hollywood Hulk Hogan now? Are we gonna have that in our Xero account? Okay, so we don't have Hollywood Hulk Hogan. We don't even have Hulk Hogan, I don't think. No. Okay. But we did get Edge because we created him. Okay. Did that create an error? It says contact editing is working. Yeah, I'm able to edit the contact, but it doesn't appear to be reaching Xero. Maybe this is what we need to tell it. All right, so I'm just going to ask, like, hey, does the app currently update the Xero contact if I edit it? So there's one thing that it said in its message to us, right? It said it's going to update the contact if it has a Xero ID. So what I'm thinking has happened is that all of these other contacts, it created them and it wasn't able to sync them with Xero. And so when I'm editing them, it's not editing anything in Xero because it doesn't have a Xero ID. So if we have a look here and we edit Edge, who is in Xero, let's just change his email address to be AEW, and we'll see if that flows through to Xero, shall we? Because in theory that one will, right? No, it did not. So he's still got his old email address. Okay, so I've just said when I edit contacts in our CRM, in our CRM app, the changes aren't flowing through to Xero. Can you please explore why that might not be working? We'll see what it will need to do to figure that out. Maybe it needs to do some testing of itself. Okay, it's going to do some debugging. Okay, so it's having a look at the contacts that have got Xero IDs. Yeah, okay, so that's part of the problem, right? Like none of them. Okay, so even Edge doesn't have a contact ID? Yeah, okay. I see the app tries to create Xero contacts during initialization, but the IDs aren't being saved. That might be our problem. It's got a tick for sync with Xero. Let's refresh this. And yes, okay, great. It's updating now. Awesome. Super cool. Okay, let's see if we got our other contacts then. Did Hulk make it through? Okay, Hulk has not made it through. But progress. Okay, so let's see if we can come through here and look at our contacts. Let's look at Hulk. We'll change them to NWO. Okay, let's see if that. Okay, we've got a tick for sync with Xero on Hollywood Hulk Hogan now. So I might have to refresh that to make it search for him, but it reckons it's in there. Hulkamania Incorporated. Great. It's interesting that it's used his company name rather than his name. So that's something that we'll probably need to tidy up, right? Is we want a contact person against the contact for Hulk, because it makes sense that we've got his business name rather than himself, depending on the way he's got his business set up. Yeah, but yeah, it's updating now, so that's awesome. Let's make sure. Okay, I'm getting a little notification from Claude. All right, so fixed. Here's what's happening and how it was resolved. The initial sample WWE wrestlers were created without Xero IDs. When you edited contacts, the app checked for Xero contact ID but found none, so updates weren't syncing because there was no Xero contact to update. Okay, it enhanced the logic. Check if the contact has an ID. If it's yes, update the. Okay, great. So this is what I would expect it to do, right? Like if it's in Xero, update it. If it's not, then create the Xero contact and then save the ID. Awesome. And great. So we've made that work. That's fantastic. I guess the next thing we want to test is that it can do invoices. So we'll just quickly do that. Okay, so I'll just pop in here and do a new invoice. Okay, so back to our original problem that we tried to solve. We can now choose a wrestler from our drop down and our create invoices. And interestingly enough, the only ones it is showing is the ones that are in Xero with Xero IDs. So fixing the Xero integration did fix that problem. But it hasn't fixed the, we would have to go and edit all these other contacts to make sure they get in Xero. So that's fine. I'm going to send Hollywood Hulk Hogan a line item. we'll just put in beer promo, and we're going to give him $75,000 for that. Let's create the invoice. This invoice is managed through Xero. We can view in Xero, and it should have linked us straight to the invoice. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. We have an invoice in Xero, and it's a draft. We can approve it. We can do whatever we want. So there you go. It's a CRM system, right? We can do whatever we want in here. We can manage our contacts. We can send invoices to them. We've got a list of our invoices. It's even got our outstanding invoices. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that was fairly painless. I like the experience of Claude Code a little bit better than the experience of Cursor. Like, I think when you first start using it, you're like, oh, I'm not really sure about this. I don't have the, I like approving things, and I like saying, but once you get that level of trust with it, it does a better job of just going and making things work. And particularly in instances where you've got a good test suite, Claude Code is capable of running those tests, seeing if anything's changed, seeing if any behavior's regressed, and then making changes that are appropriate if the tests are not being met, and then iterating on that and providing an eventual outcome of like, yep, look, everything's working. The fact that it's able to run the app itself and look for errors and wait to see if there are any errors, it's next level, right? Like, this is where we've stepped up a gear from Cursor, where we have to do everything manually, which is super cool. And there's all sorts of instructions you can provide it to make it a little bit more autonomous when it does things like that. So yeah, look, I hope you like what you've seen. I hope that this has empowered you, and it's made you curious about Claude Code and want to use it in your workflows. But if there is anything else you'd like to see done in Claude Code, then feel free to drop a comment below, and I will do a follow-up video showing you how to do something. But for now, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much if you've been watching the series all along. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do enjoy what you're seeing, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.